People, Deluded, I'm back again. As usual, thank you very much for tuning back in, and especially with what's going on globally, I hope you and your loved ones and extended family and everybody is all well and safe, and most importantly healthy. But moving forward, in relation to Arsenal, like we've all been doing, no matter what football team you support, you're desperate for some sort of news, you're desperate for something. And I've gone on the internet and read a couple of things and, you know, yeah, just mashed them together to make a vid. So let's carry on. I think I've got something on Omri and Aubameyang situation. I'm pretty sure Mkhitaryan, Holding, there's a couple other things, but I'll cover them all, people. But in relation to Thierry Henry and Aubameyang, as you lot know, completely different players in stature, but very similar in that. Obviously, we've moved to the Emirates now, but Aubameyang's done all he can. But if you're honest, the team is going in two different ways. For a player of his potential, you know, he probably should move on and go and play somewhere where you can win trophies at this moment in your life. Because we've got a young squad. Even if this young squad gets playing well and stuff, in 2 years' time, you know, it's great for us. Because Guendouzi, Saka, Martinelli, Tierney, a lot of these players are going to be early, some of them are not even going to be teenagers, some are going to be early 20s, some are going to be mid-20s, some are not even going to be approaching late 20s as such. They'll be in their prime, which is good for Arsenal fans and good for these players and good for Arteta and management for resale value and having the youth and the energy, along with Arteta not being the oldest, to bring Arsenal back to an ideal world where we belong, doing what Liverpool's doing right now, or City has been doing, or just competing. That's all fun and games. But how old is Aubameyang in 2 years? And that's why I said, even if everything gets going well, you know, in reality, Arsenal have got a long way to go. And if we're honest, I think I speak for most Arsenal fans, when you've got complete confidence in Arteta, do we have confidence in that we're going to sell the necessary players, bring in and address every area? I don't know, people. Obviously, with Thierry Henry, we moved to the Emirates, and again, the regime at Arsenal changed. He needs to go and win titles. So few people understand more than him why he needs to make this move, if it is. And his words has been, as an Arsenal fan, you want him to stay. But as a football player, he will assess the situation with his family, with his dad, and see what's best for them. If you're an Arsenal man, then you don't want him to leave. But the guy has a career, and I don't know what's in his head. Exactly, don't know what's in his head. And you look at his contract, again, I'm not saying he's motivated by money, but, you know, look at the bonuses and stuff he foregoes if he leaves this season, versus the loyalty bonus and other incentives he receives if he waits out his contract for another year, if he does want to leave or stay. Is of interest, especially with wage cuts and obviously the age of Aubameyang, that there's not much years left in terms of commanding the best salary. And obviously we've spoke on sporting ambitions, but he said, all I know is that we're definitely going to miss his goals if he does leave. He scores goals, and if you take the goals of Aubameyang away, it's a tough one. I respect people and what they have to go through and what their desire or dream they have, but as an Arsenal man, any Arsenal fan would be crazy to say he should leave. I don't want him to leave, but on the other side, you have to understand the guy has a life and maybe he needs something else. Who knows? I hope he stays. He then went on to speak on Arteta briefly, people, Thierry. He said, I can tell you as a coach now that it's not easy to deal with, because you want to carry on with what you are doing with the players. Although you are talking to them, it is better to train and see what you can do after training at the weekend. It depends on who is going to leave and who is going to leave and who is not going to leave. We don't know about that. Who's going to come? I just want Arsenal to do well and compete. I wish them the best all the time. Arteta too, because that's a tough job. As everyone knows, we have to give him time. And I haven't got the other quotes, but he did carry on the theme of praising Arteta and based on what he's seen. Thierry Henry was speaking on Instagram Live, I believe. Moving away from that, and I'm pretty sure yesterday you saw, and I'm not going to lie, people, I don't know why technology didn't upload my video from yesterday in relation to Mkhitaryan, but we heard, whether it was to the papers or whatever, Mkhitaryan more or less publicly signalled his intentions to permanently stay at Roma, more so than we already know. Quickly today, his agent, Mino Rinola, has come out, and I wouldn't say necessarily quashed all rumours of him wanting to stay at Roma and complete a move from Arsenal, but he shut down at least Mkhitaryan coming out and saying these things. And he more or less said Mkhitaryan did not send any message to Arsenal about wanting to stay at Roma, especially in times like these. Fake news are completely unacceptable. So again, you know, obviously it might, some people, clearly his agent has said it might be a bit insensitive to speak about certain things with the way football is yet to react globally to this issue. And obviously very few things are more important than football, but people are losing their lives, so it's insensitive to do such. We'll never know. Mkhitaryan has to be moved on, but it is what it is. Carrying on the theme with Mkhitaryan, ESPN have allegedly said Roma want Arsenal to pay a chunk of Mkhitaryan's 180 a week wages to complete a permanent move. Sources have told them. For Arsenal, it wouldn't make sense. Of course, if they say, okay, we'll pay half and you should pay half. Of course, Arsenal should not entertain that at all. We need to move them on completely. But then again, we'd still be paying for a player that would move, and to be honest, how long would Arsenal keep paying them wages? You'd imagine at least just for a year, which would cover the cost of his deal. Currently, that he's at Arsenal until 2021. But you can imagine if they said pay half, surely 90,000 a week is better than paying 180,000 a week, sort of thing. I want him off completely. I don't agree with paying any fee because they're paying 10 million allegedly if they want Mkhitaryan. It's down to you lot. Obviously, the age Mkhitaryan is at, he wants to command the best salary and whatnot, but it's down to Roma and them lot. If we let him go for 10 million, I would even let him go for less really. Then that's more money in theory Roma should be saving to give him a salary. And Mkhitaryan and his agent might have to concede that there might be very few clubs he could settle in at this moment in time, and he's got a good thing going, and this is a good way of life. So they might have to curb their demands. I don't want Arsenal to pay a single penny in relation to that. Moving away from that, and Rob Holding's barely played. He's still coming back from injury, and he has looked a bit rusty and things. And for me, I think Holding can get a cap by England at least if he gets playing. I think there's potential in him, but similar to Maitland-Niles, to Lacazette, and to a degree, I know he's irrelevant. But you're looking at a lot of these players, and you're like, yeah, I like you, and you're good players. But if people need to be sold, potentially these are offers we could entertain. I still think there's a player in Maitland-Niles, but again, if you could get 15, 20 on him, you keep it spinning. I still think there's a centre-half to help us in Holding, but you signed him for 2 million. Potentially has not kicked on as much as he had as expected. 2 million, can you sell him for 20 or so? You've made a comfortable profit. It is what it is. On one hand, we probably have to retain these homegrown players as much as we can, beyond them not being in Arteta's plans, because you're hearing of the Brexit rumours to come. Obviously, we need to keep homegrown players within our side. That's probably why Matt Macy might get a new deal beyond the end of this year. I don't know that because I don't work anything. But allegedly, according to Football London, the main reason Holding hasn't featured much under Arteta is to ease him back to full fitness following a lengthy spell on the sidelines with a serious knee injury. So again, Holding has looked a bit shaky. And at the end of the day, if you've been past fit and you're playing, there's not really any excuses. But at the same time, when you're training and training alongside or coaching someone, you see that they're not fully ready. And even at under 23s level, Holding struggled a bit coming from injury. So I still think there's a player in Holding, and if Arteta still retains faith in him but says you're not playing, then it is what it is in that regards. I'm sure Holding is chomping at the bit to show that he can still be, someone of relevance to Arsenal people. Away from that though, and we've been linked with Ismet Lushaku. Hopefully I've said his name correctly. He's making a name for himself in the Swedish top division. The thing that stands out about him to me is his technical level. You can see that's why Arsenal are interested. Apparently Southampton and Villarreal have been interested, and apparently before this coronavirus he had a trial, or was going to be given a trial, or the opportunity to train with our under 23s team. Obviously, it's been put on the back foot. He said, Arsenal had been looking at me for a while and offered me an invitation to play and train with the team. 3 days before I went, Arteta contracted coronavirus. Arsenal are still in contact with my agent. So naturally, everything's been put to the back burner. If and when, we can open up the training ground and everything gets back to normal, we can then have him on trial. Again, he'd probably have to be on trial with the first team, because I imagine the 23s and 18s will still train, but at least there's no football, so they're just going to be training for the sake of it, and things like that. So it might work out in his favour in that he completes his trial under the eye of Arteta, sort of thing, which sucks, but it is. We're going to get back to it. But he said it was a bit tough, but my chance will come again. If they're really interested, health comes before anything else, even if I really wanted to train with Arsenal and see the facilities. And he's only 19 years of age, so, we've been linked with a couple of players of that same profile, teenage years, midfield teenage years. Obviously, we're in line with what we're trying to do as a club, get players in with the age on their side to become better players over time and help us long term, and obviously the resale value, because you look at a lot of these players. Raul Sanllehi spoke of Saliba being our centre-half for 10 years. As much as I would like that, it's probably unrealistic to think, if Real Madrid and Barca and these teams come interested in him, if he develops to the potential I believe he has, then it is what it is. There's resale. We got him for 30 million. If football stays the way it is, how much could he go for? You look at someone like Torreira. Again, I always propaganda Torreira because Torreira, I believe, is a good player. But you've got Saliba, you've got Torreira, you've got Guendouzi, you've got Reece Nelson, you've got Saka, you've got Martinelli, and you've got many more dotted around the team. So yeah, it is what it is in that regards. As I said, he's been linked with Villarreal and also Southampton. So yeah, and he's also made his debut for the under-21 side, for his nation's under-21 side. So he's doing his thing. The chairman of the club he plays for also said that people in Europe's bigger teams are monitoring him. Now, I'm sure this player is 9 times out of 10 linked with Manchester City, but Thiago Almada, Argentinian player, 19 years of age, Arsenal have been linked with him. The player has a release clause of 22 million euros, which will rise to 25 million after August 31st. However, it is expected that the player will be signed before August 31st by a European club. This is out of Mundo Deportivo. So are we just being linked for the sake of it? Are they playing on the fact that, we've got a South American executive of sorts in Edu? Obviously, we've got Raul Sanllehi, who has strong ties to South America. And we've got a scout called Francis Cajillo, who scouts everywhere. But, after the Martinelli thing, we're up in our... South America seems to be what we're trying to do. It's a bit different, but we identified Marie. Different profile, but we identified Marie. So emerging market / players that are not necessarily being given a chance on is where we're going. He's got potential. He's 19 years of age. He does look like a good player, so I wouldn't be against it, but we have to see. I'm not really sure if that's anything more than just rumours. The same article, I believe, said Arteta, not the same article, but the same publication said Arteta has informed Mohamed El Neni that he is free to leave Arsenal. And again, he's another one we're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get off the wage books, and really probably have to offer him a basement fee, because he's probably been up for sale for the last 2 years, had a bit of an indifferent loan spell at Besiktas, so is there really going to be any interest in him? I'm not too sure. Him and his dad have allegedly said they want to play in the Premier League, so hopefully Premier League teams take a chance on such people. Will that happen? I'm not too sure, but we'll have to wait and see. Moving away from that though, and we've been linked with Gabriel Veron previously, the winger who shined at the under-17s World Cup. I think he's got potential to really hit some heights. He's 17, so he's not eligible to move to England as such. I don't think he's eligible to move to Europe until he turns 18. I'm not too sure when he turns 18, but he's someone I would like Arsenal to sign, and I've said that before. And apparently, their managing director of his club, Cicero Sousa, has confirmed that the club may have to sell reported Arsenal target 17-year-old Gabriel Veron to cope with the financial implications of the crisis. As you lot know, he's being touted as one of the best talents to come out of Brazil. So it's sad to say, but we might be forced to sell Aubameyang by the same logic. Teams might be forced to sell, and then you look at players like this, can we take advantage of such? He'll have no shortage of suitors. He's been linked with Real Madrid and Barca. But do you want to go there yet in your career where, being a top player, having top potential, you're not special because everybody's got that? Do you want to go somewhere where you could develop, learn your craft away from, that sort of environment? Then, a team like Arsenal or other teams, the Dutch sides or the Spanish teams, lower league Spanish teams, you get what I'm saying, could be of interest to him. I would love him. I mean, if you've been watching Brazilian football, have anything, you would see that in youth form, he's a decent player, man. And maybe with us doing what we're doing with Gabriel, that could be something that entices him. Obviously, again, with the theme I've been saying for a couple of players, there is resale value there, people. Moving away from that, and I'm sure you've all seen, really, it's not a stick to beat people with, but you Stan Kroenke. Now, we know he's got money, and obviously with Arsenal's lack of investment and wage cuts, you're looking at him. The articles were coming out, were a bit... At least I'm not defending him, but a bit insincere and lacking integrity, because it kind of, again, it's clickbait, but the articles that came out in relation to him increasing his profit in 2020 kind of made out that during this period he's been making money while the club hasn't, when actually it's really just been from 2020. And this is why I don't understand the wage cuts, really. Not that I don't understand them, not that I don't think there's a case for them. But why is it footballers have to save all the employees of a football club and have to save the NHS when you've got, in 2020 alone, courtesy of the Institute for Policy Studies, on the 20th, this was published on the 23rd of April, so literally a few weeks ago, Stan Kroenke, Arsenal's owner, has seen his personal wealth increase by 323 million since the start of 2020. But we need to take cuts because we're in issues. This is why I don't listen. Keep it consistent, people. I'm not saying you can't say players shouldn't take wage cuts, but this is for me. It goes against common logic. You've got billionaire owners, especially someone like Stan Kroenke, who has invested technically none of his own money into this club and seen it rise, and the club has looked after him in that regards. It's down to you to one day look after your investments. When did he come here? In 2017 or something? I mean, 2004. Sorry, I'm bugging out. 2007 or 2006. So that's however many years, people, where Arsenal's been good for you, where our performances have been indifferent on the field, but consistent profits and stuff has been good for you. It's been shining for all them years. Now it's a bit of rain, and the players have to bear the blunt. I'm not saying Ozil shouldn't take a wage cut, but I can't blame people like Mesut Ozil or players of any club if they do not want to do this, especially when you're seeing the owners thing increase, people. It makes no sense. We know Arsenal standalone away from Kroenke is in serious financial issues. So again, there is reason to take cuts across the board. But look at this, people. Really, why should players have to take cuts when you could? Again, it's easy to save other people's money, but just invest your sums. And you are hearing Kroenke's investing his sums. But come on, look at 323 million, people. Obviously, his wife, who is the heir to the Walmart chain as well, has seen her, not that she's relevant to this because it's not technically, I know she's married to him, but it's not her business really. She's seen her own wealth rise by 97 million, people. So that highlights further why I think it's wrong that players should have to do this thing, but it is what it is in that regards. I accidentally skipped over something, people, so going back over it, Santi Cazorla, I read a bit of the article, but I'm going to read it again. He's spoken in relation to everything really, and he said when pressed on whether he wants to come back to Arsenal, he said, "I don't know what my legacy is. You have to ask the fans." And I think you're a fan favourite. I think I made one of my first early videos in YouTube. I said Santi Cazorla is one of the most underappreciated players here, not for his technical ability, but people forget the clutch moments this guy came in and things, and actually how he made us gel, especially when it was Santi, Ozil and Alexis. Them three, when they linked up, for me, looked they were obviously, but standard above the rest of their teammates, people. Do you get it? He said, "I don't know what my legacy is. You have to ask the fans, but I want to thank everyone. I don't know what I'll do next. Maybe a coach, maybe a sports director, but I'd like to come back." You'd imagine, at least until there's movement, the sporting director role isn't available at Arsenal. You'd imagine the coaching aspect with a former teammate in Arteta is one that you could go for, and it's up to Santi Cazorla. Does he want to be a coach? He speaks on how he speaks to the young players at Villarreal, Paul Torres, and he spoke on Chuck Weezy as well. Does he enjoy that? To what level is he speaking with them? If he wants to be, does he want to be less of a coach, less hands-on? Does he want to do the sporting director thing, in which you might be able to do that at Villarreal, or potentially, is it Oviedo, one of his early clubs? I don't know. I do think the opportunity to be a coach at Arsenal is there, but like Arsene Wenger used to say, can you necessarily invent artificial positions for people just because they've been at Arsenal? I think Santi would be good because he's someone people can resonate with. He wasn't at Arsenal long on the face of it, but he was at Arsenal for a significant period of time, and I think his smile and stuff could be contagious and what we need. And obviously, away from that, he's got a wealth of knowledge and he could help. And if he wants to do the coaching thing, then I'm sure Arteta will extend the hand to be able to do that, folks. If Mkhitaryan does leave, people, I'd like to ask you who should take the number 7 shirt, because for me it should be Martinelli. I also think it would be a good bit of confidence to give it to Pepe. I also think by the same logic, Arteta might do that with Reece Nelson, and I might be missing out a couple. Saka could get that really and truly on the left and right wing if he goes there again to get it. So I'd like to ask you for your opinions on that. But moving back to it, apparently Liverpool and Arsenal are among Premier League clubs who are considering an app that would allow fans to send jeers and cheers to empty stadiums when the games are being played behind closed doors. And again, I think that's a bit cringy and a bit forced, but in terms of being interactive, in terms of making people feel part of it, then I guess it could be something and whatnot. I don't think it would make sense, but really and truly, because say you just want to be sour and just cheer up the team. And again, it's artificial, so it shouldn't play on players' minds. But I mean, it's sinister to say, but if Arsenal are playing Liverpool will still smack us up. Would someone not just download the Liverpool thing and just keep pressing the jizz or get it? But you know, there's them neeks that will get every device in their house and press the jizz and stuff. And psychologically, it's artificial, so it shouldn't affect the players. But you know, someone will do that. Again, they'll probably put something in place to not allow that. But it is what it is. Carrying on from that, and some insight by finance expert John Purcell, who told the Mail Sport, Arsenal have slipped from the other big six in commercial revenue, which is obviously vital for clubs spending more on players. Obviously, we are at an issue with commercial revenue. When you add in the fact that there's no bums on seats in the stadiums and our dire position financially anyways, it is a bit of a madness, which is not really of any confidence, people. Allegedly, the commercial director role is the most important job position at Arsenal currently. What that means, I don't know, but I could imagine with us not being in the Champions League, not being at Arsenal, our brand is still strong, but we're not the Arsenal that people remember. When you think of Arsenal, you think of Thierry Henry, Invincibles. You don't think of anything Arsenal's probably done in the last 10 or maybe more years. Definitely since I touched secondary school. We beat Barca in Munich, and we've won some FA Cups, and not discrediting the FA Cup, but done nothing of significance. And we are probably paying for that. If we're going to continue to be not getting in the Champions League or not knowing if we consistently can get in there, then we've got to learn to find other ways to get revenue in. It's not going to replace that, but we've got to find other ways. So that's probably why that's the most important position of sorts. People keeping up with the theme of Arsenal, we all know on Sunday allegedly the government is going to announce some plans in relation to how I suppose we move forward with this corona stuff. We don't know what the plans are, but many people think it will be to relieve some pressure on these easing measures in some capacity, whether that's people can go back to work, barbers and gyms open. I think it'd be a bit silly, but I don't know. But apparently Arsenal are ready to more or less get back to normal, and apparently Arsenal are waiting for the government's announcement on Sunday about easing lockdown guidelines before stepping up plans for a return to training. Obviously, as you know, all clubs are probably indirectly, briefly preparing, maybe not necessarily training, but writing up papers, because clearly we're trying as much as we can to get the league back going again. He said, currently the majority of Arteta's squad are using the club's London Coley training base to maintain their fitness levels, but obviously are doing so with strict rules in place to ensure they do not come into close contact with any of their teammates or coaching staff. And you have heard they've got a singular ball. Obviously there's social distancing. The buildings in and around the training pitch are not open, so I think they can't shower. They have to deal with that themselves. They have to bring themselves along to training. Communication and talking is kept to a minimum, and it's not really teamwork drills, it's just fitness and things. So there isn't much more they can do in that regards, and I'm sure everybody in all walks of life wants to get back to normal, but we've got to take our time with this. So yeah, we've spoken about easing measures, we've spoken about transfer news, we've spoken about Henry and Aubameyang. So yeah, man, I think that brings this video to an end. But yeah, man, the good news is I'm pretty sure you haven't seen all of my vids, so make sure you go and check out my other vids. Make sure you comment, like and subscribe. Most importantly, make sure you stay safe and don't take any time with your loved ones for granted, and don't take your health for granted, because definitely in today's day and age right now, it's the most important thing. And sadly, a lot of people have lost their lives. A lot of people have lost their lives prematurely. A lot of people have lost their lives fighting to protect other people's lives. So stay sensible, stay safe, and make sure you check out my other stuff. God bless. DG, I'm out.